Hi, let me start by saying that I'm glad you're here. Personal responsibility tends to be something people avoid. The good news is, the fact that you're here also means that you're putting yourself in a situation to be the most likely to succeed and become an empowered empath. If you're not sure what I mean by taking personal responsibility as it relates to our gift as empaths, don't feel bad. Most empaths don't. I'd also venture that most empaths don't realize how truly powerful their gift is. We were given the power to heal, but we were also given the power to destroy. And for as long as we don't take responsibility for that, we can be truly dangerous to people around us. I'm sure you've heard the saying, with great power comes great responsibility. By the end of this video, you will have learned how to handle your power responsibly and mostly why it's so important to do so. My name is Frank and welcome to the Boundless Mind. What is personal responsibility when it comes to the gift of an empath? How can one be responsible, and what does being irresponsible look like? It's not uncommon to hear empaths say, "I'm always nice to everyone, but people don't want to be near me." If you've ever said or thought something like that, I would venture that you are fooling yourself and probably have little control over your empathic abilities. Before you leave, know that I understand your position, and I have said so myself. I'm not trying to judge you. I'm trying to offer you a new perspective. We often hear talks about shadow work in empath circles, but I suspect people talk about shadow work a fair bit more than they actually do shadow work. Put simply, shadow work is the exploration of aspects of our personality that we have hidden from ourselves in our subconscious. Now, I did say from ourselves. This is important. Now, I'm going to take apart a post that was put on Facebook in order to explore and demonstrate something that is too often at the center of an empath's reality. Following this, we're going to explore how taking responsibility for the nature of our gift can have a direct impact on our lives. Now, here's the quote. Empaths can truly be hated simply because, without intending to, they can energetically mirror back the entire inner angst and lack of personal integrity of another, exposing an unwillingness to face their own dishonesty, greed, hatred, and desire to hide from the truth as well as from themselves. A couple of interesting statements are made here. Notice how they say, without intending to. We mirror to people the parts that they're trying to hide from themselves. Now, this mirroring is a central part of the theory of shadow personality. Our shadows are usually mirrored back to us through others. If I have hidden my anger from myself and believe I never get angry, I will perceive anger in others almost as if it was amplified, and it will bother me very much. Oddly enough, I will also be somehow drawn to those people, often without understanding why. If you're not familiar with the shadow personality and how it works, please go watch my video on that topic. It's posted above and it'll be in the description. It will greatly help you understand what I'm talking about here. The second part of the post states the following. This can happen completely outside the empath's conscious awareness, as they tend to keep sending out light, which can irritate another's demons while being perplexed at the reaction. It can literally drive those who thrive on inauthenticity out of their mind. Again, we reinforce that this is happening outside of our own consciousness. Now, this is where things get interesting. Notice the wording, sending out light, which can irritate another's demons while being perplexed at the reactions. So, let's take this apart. Here I am, an empath, able to perceive your shadows, demons, because that's a part of my ability. Now, here I go, shining a bright light on your demons, exposing your shadows for you to see. And yet, I'm perplexed by your reaction? I would venture that in this example, I am lacking very much in the area of self-awareness and personal responsibility. I would further advance that all this is all happening outside of the empath's conscious awareness. They're quite possibly projecting their own shadows on the other person. Obviously, this is a very short post on Facebook, so I couldn't say without a doubt that this is the case, for this person. My statement serves only to offer the point that it is often the case. Now, before we go too far into this, I would recommend you hit the like button. It's free, and it helps me make friends with the YouTube algorithm, so others may find me as well. I also want to bring your attention to the general language being used here. The entire post basically deresponsibilizes the empath while casting a heavy judgment on the person they are throwing light on. Again, empaths can truly be hated simply because, without intending to, they can energetically mirror back the entire inner angst and lack of personal integrity of another, exposing an unwillingness to face their own dishonesty, greed, hatred, and desire to hide the truth, and as well as from themselves. Wow. Notice how it sounds like the empath can't help it. They just walk around all day, mirroring everybody without any control on it. My question might be, what were you doing hanging out with someone who lacks personal integrity, is greedy, hateful, dishonest, and lacks willingness to look at themselves? Let's continue. This can happen completely outside the empath's conscious awareness, as they tend to keep sending out light which can irritate another's demons while being perplexed at the reaction. It can literally drive those who thrive on inauthenticity out of their minds. Notice again, the image we get of the poor empath perplexed at the reaction while they're only shining light without even being conscious of it. All while the other person is having to face their demons and being called inauthentic for failing to do so. The whole thing sounds a little bit like a story of good versus evil. Sadly, this is too often how we empaths seem to perceive the world. Now, let's imagine for a moment that our empath friend here has become very self-aware and has decided to take personal responsibility for their interactions. How differently could this go? First off, an empath who takes responsibility would be working on having strong boundaries and respecting the boundaries of others. They would work hard at making the process by which they seem to expose other people's demons a conscious one. Now, how do we bring the things we do subconsciously to our conscious level? We do our own shadow work. This also means that, as we come across things we notice in other people, we start shining that light toward ourselves, looking to see if maybe we became aware of it in the other person because it's part of our own shadows. The other nice part about looking at our own shadows and noticing our resistance to them is that it also makes us realize why people may have hated us. We were shining bright lights on their demons and shadows. Taking responsibility of our power and looking at ourselves does not mean that we will not perceive all the same things in others either. We will actually even perceive them better. But we will try to control where we shine that bright spotlight of ours. There's a time and a place for our power to thrive. We need to learn to turn it on and off. Now, it's always on inside ourselves. We remain able to perceive all of it always like we did before. It's just that now we control how, where, and when we address the things we perceive in a responsible manner. We have a gift. It allows us to help others in the most incredible ways by perceiving every detail inside them. We can use our power to alleviate much suffering and to make the world a way better place. But as long as we go around without intention, half conscious of where we shine our light, and waving it around in an uncontrolled way, all we can hope to do is blind people with it. When we expose people to their deepest shadows without so much as asking for permission, we're a danger for others, and we will keep being hated for it. Now, this covers how you should respect other people's boundaries and take a hard look at yourself. But there's one last thing that's also very important. If you recalled, I asked our fictive empath from the post, what were you doing with someone who lacks personal integrity, is greedy, hateful, dishonest, and lacks willingness to look at themselves? Well, here's the answer, I would venture. They are not respecting themselves. It's all fine and dandy that you want to take responsibility toward not crossing other people's boundaries anymore, and that's commendable. But it's even more important that you establish and respect your own boundaries. As you become more selective with the people you're willing to let enter your life, you become safer. And this is how you become responsible towards yourself. Simply put, and many will resist this, taking responsibility for yourself means looking at the parts you played in anything that happens in your life. If you got into a relationship with the devil and got burnt, don't spend your time wondering why the devil was so mean. Ask how you could have made a different choice than going out with the devil. If you lose a friend, ask yourself, was it something I did? Could I have done it differently? It may or may not be, but people who take personal responsibility don't ask what others could have done differently. They ask what they themselves could have done differently. Sometimes the answer is nothing. Other times, the list is long. It's not about finding blame either. That's a waste of time and resources. It's about being mindful of who we are and our impact in the world. So you see, as you become mindful of who you are, take responsibility of your gift so that you can use it to help and not simply expose everybody's darkness all willy-nilly. Your life will change greatly. Remember, I said with great power comes great responsibility. You already have the power. You've always had it. Now, it's time to take responsibility, to become an empowered empath. Now, as your first responsible move, you have to hit the subscribe button and notification bell. I will cover everything you need to empower yourself on this channel. Now, in reality, thanks for watching. I love you. I wish you a fantastic day, and I hope any of this was helpful to you. Namaste.